Hi, friends. Was that picture ugly enough for you? Hi, hi. So this is going to be a bit different. This is going to be a lot different, actually. I don't have links for you below. I don't know if you noticed. Um, I definitely am going to go over the documentary. Thanks. Um, but this is the live stream that almost wasn't because honestly, yesterday was ready to call it quits. I have been having a very rough week. Yesterday I was like, I can't do it anymore. I literally typed out a tweet that I was gonna send everybody, just be like, bon voyage. No, but I was gonna say, I'm gonna take a little time for myself, don't anybody worry about me, I'm fine. I just blah 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 blah. And then and then I know it's ugly, okay. And then I actually got on Twitter ready to put it in and tweet it out. And then I saw news about Red Pill getting out of the hospital. And, it kind of put things into perspective. It was just like that thing I needed to see at that moment of that we're all kind of going through crazy times right now. We've all got stuff, reasons not to keep on keeping on. So I'm fine. Yeah, don't worry about me. I'm just having a rough week. So anyway, I just was not into it. I don't want to quit. I'm not quitting. But I just like this stream. I was just like, everything was busy today, and I was just like, I'm just going to talk about the documentary because I know a bunch of you were interested in it, and then we can get into chatting later, which is what I feel like when I think about my channel, when I think about what I'm doing here, this is what I am drawn to, is just connecting with you guys, chatting with you, connecting on that human level. You guys know I'm not here for money. I'm not here to like build my brand or be famous. I just want to help people go through all of this. And I get help from you guys as well, which is another reason why I'm here. So we're going to give it the old college try. But I actually dropped out of college twice, so we'll see how it goes. But anyway, like I said, we'll get into the documentary a little bit first, because in case anybody is here to listen to that, we can get that out of the way so they don't have to listen to me bitch and moan, and then you guys get to listen to me bitch and moan, and then we can talk about whatever you want to talk about after that. Okay, sound good? Okay, so the whole Corey Feldman documentary was getting a lot of flack from the very beginning because okay, a lot of people, which I totally understand, are very grumpy with him that he's got this information and he sat on it. And then the fact that he was doing a documentary and was charging people money for it, people didn't like that. And I get it on one hand, but on the other hand, there were certain things that I thought made a lot of sense in doing it that way. And one of those things is that, well, first of all, it's psychology, that if you do something for free, less people will be interested in it. I think I brought up the analogy last time we were talking about this. The people that throw concerts, they know that if they throw a free concert, they're actually less likely to get people there than if people have tickets. And so one of the things, he was doing this unprecedented thing where it was a one-time viewing. Everybody around the world had to watch it at once. So it wasn't like you buy your ticket and then you watch it at your leisure. You had to watch it at that very moment, which I thought made a lot of sense, because if a few people watched it, it got taken down, the rumor starts circulating, people find out who the names are that he's naming in there, people lose interest, they don't watch the film then, it's just like whatever. They'll ask for their money back. And this way I felt like it's gonna get everybody to watch, and I think I even said to you guys last time, if they take it down and all of those people are sitting there watching their blank screens, it's actually going to draw more attention to the film. So I did think it was a very smart way to do it. I don't have a problem with people getting money for, getting paid money for their work. Chris, hi. We need our fellow warriors, Kate. Breaks are needed. I'm glad you changed your mind. I have a funny for everyone. I'm sure you do, Chris. I can't wait to hear it. So, you know, on one hand, you're getting people there, you're getting people interested in it. This was an unprecedented way to release a film, which was getting a lot of hype and some media traction. And the other thing is that if you're putting out this kind of information, you are going to be in danger. I think he has been in danger for a while. A lot of people argue that he said stuff without really saying something. He almost appears as if he's could be working for the other side as far as like muddying the waters, or taking the focus off of where it should be, or almost making light of it, or almost like a slow drip, getting people used to it rather than like, whoa, here in your face. I don't really know how I feel about that. I feel like on one hand, he was sexually abused himself. Oh, real quick, this should go without saying, but because of the content of what we're going to be discussing tonight, please no children. If you've got children in the room or whatever, just because I'm going to go over some stuff that's kind of upsetting and I don't want any children to hear it. So please, if you're in a room with children, please wear headphones. I promise not to act out the things I'm talking about, so it will only be audio. So where were we? So basically, I think that it's hard to. I saw a lot of people jumping on him last night when it wasn't working. A lot of people were like, he knew it. He's doing this on purpose. He's trying to swindle people. He's whatever. Number one, he's already spent the money to make the movie. There were people that had already seen the movie, proof that it's there, that it's made. It's not like he made a few minutes of something and then this was the plan all along. He was gonna play a few minutes and then pull the cord and then be like, ha ha, I got all your money. That doesn't make any sense. He already spent the money to make the movie. The movie was made. I feel like he very much wants this movie to get out. And also, he might be a little weird. He might do a little stuff that's a little weird or doesn't add up, or might not be how you do them or how I would do them. But we need to keep in mind that he was abused also as a child, and that does stuff to a person. Even when their intentions are really good, sometimes they make decisions that aren't the greatest. Okay, bud, you gotta get out.
Hey, you know what?
What?
So they say shivel, not swivel. So it just means don't get cold.
Oh, okay. Shh. Out. Scooby-Doo. Okay, where were we? Yeah, I know. No kids. And then in walks mine. No, Now it's a game, so we'll see how well that works. Anyway, so as I'm sure a lot of you heard, everybody was raring to go, ready to watch this movie, and it would not play. I was logged in, ready to go. I was logged in, ready to go, and then all of a sudden it just, the screen went black. No, first I got like a 403 message. Then the screen went black, and it was like, we were all kind of talking online, what's going on with you? We were all kind of seeing something. When there was a change, we're like, oh, it's progress, but then nothing. And I did have a couple people that I talked to who are tech people who kind of know their thing say that it did appear to be a DDoS attack, the same kind of attack that was happening on 8chan. And one of my friends was like, if that's what it is, this is a major attack. This is not some teenager in their basement doing this. This is highly organized, very powerful, blah, blah, blah. So I do think that, I do believe that it was not the plan all along and that they weren't going to play the show. I do think that they were getting attacked. Anyway, didn't show up. They're still trying to figure it out. I was able to snag a copy of the movie, which I can't share with you. But right before I came on here, somebody actually sent me another link, which I haven't gone through the entire way, but it does appear to be the whole movie. So maybe I will post that. I will post that, and so you guys can see it. I don't know if it's the entire movie, but it does appear to be that. But it's also a really crappy quality. The one I watched was pretty crappy quality also, but I know it was the full movie, and it was a little bit. I can't share it because the person that shared it with me said that they could get in trouble. So I don't want to get them in trouble. So, right. So let's dive into the movie a little bit. It was probably exactly what you were assuming it was, what a lot of us were assuming it was. At least what I was assuming it was. There was some disclosure in there. There were some names named. The only really massive name that so I thought that the names were everywhere. So I would have led with that, but because I thought you guys already knew. But the names, John Grissom, who was Corey's ex-assistant. There are two men named Alfie and Bobby Hoffman, Bob Hoffman. Bob Hoffman, or Alfie Hoffman, was supposedly the son of Bob Hoffman, but Corey stated later in the film that actually what he found out is that Alfie was not his son, it was his lover, and they were kind of procuring all of these kids together. I did see a couple pieces of misinformation floating out there, and once I watched the movie, somebody named Bob Saget, that took off like wildfire. Bob Saget's name is not in this movie. He is not mentioned in this movie. That's not saying he's not a creep. I remember going to see him do stand-up one time. This is a long, long time ago, before the Olsen twins, before the Olsen twins were of age, and he was making all kinds of creepy jokes about them, and I was like, that's just, ugh. But no, Bob Saget's name was not in it. I don't know if this person was like made a typo, because I noticed that they left Bob Hoffman's name off of it. So I don't really know why Bob Saget's name was in there. Dominic Brazia, Marty Weiss, and Charlie Sheen was the big name. Now Charlie Sheen, it had been kind of common knowledge. Those, I believe Corey tried to put that information out a long time ago. At least those allegations were there, sort of. I remember hearing about it when Charlie Sheen, wasn't he going through a divorce with, somebody will help me remember her name. And there was a lot of weird stuff because she was terrified and trying to get custody of the children. And then information came out, Denise Richards, thank you. Information came out, and I don't know if this is true or not, that she found child pornography. And that was why she was divorcing him and why she was terrified of him getting time with the kids. So couple that with this story of Charlie Sheen raping Corey Haim when they were filming Lucas. Now that crushed me when John, thank you. Basic human connection is the medicine our world needs, most needs. Trust has been eroded. Being truthful with each other is the only way of recovering it. I agree. I used to watch Lucas when I was little. I am a child of the 80s. Lucas was one of my favorite movies, but it used to wreck me. And I just had this sadness for him in that movie. And I thought at the time, and this still could be true, that it was because he looked a lot like my brother, and my brother wore glasses, and my brother is a real soft spot for me because he's the kindest person I've ever known in my life and always has been. Even as a child, I knew that. I knew that there was that my brother was just an angel. So I used to watch that movie, and obviously in that movie he's getting bullied and whatever, and so that used to break my heart when I was a kid. And thank God I didn't know what was actually happening behind the scenes, because it would have destroyed me. It destroys me now even as an adult. So the story with Charlie Sheen was that Corey Haim said that he had raped him on the set of Lucas. It was in broad daylight. It was between two trailers, and he even goes into detail in some of what was used. so the story is there. The story is now out there, about these about what happened in Charlie Sheen. Now, of course, you see bunch of. It was interesting watching all of the tweets today after that name got revealed. I think late last night I saw it get revealed. Charlie Sheen was the only name I saw get revealed last night. But people knew that. We were all talking. We're like, we know. Okay, Charlie Sheen. Who else? And so some people are angry. Some people are like, well, whatever. He can't. What are you going to do to him now, or whatever. There were several things that caught me off guard about this movie. One was that I didn't know the kind of pushback that Corey Feldman was getting from Corey Haim's mother from trying to expose this. And it's very strange. And when you think about it, coupled with the fact that she is also responsible for what happened to her child. She should have been there. He was a kid. You don't, if you look, you listen to these stories over and over, from the beginning of Hollywood until present time, we hear stories about these children and what happens to them. And time again, you see a pattern with the parents just trusting or just passing their kid off to these Hollywood people. And I do know a lot of families get suckered into that. I have to wonder, like in the 80s when there was that huge push to now do movies based around children, it was like they were the focal point now, and making children into stars. Were they trying to breed more of this, like make kids be like, oh, I want to be in Hollywood. Hey, Star Karma. When I was a kid and when I did it, when I was acting, it was during this time, and I worked a lot, but there are two reasons for that. One is that I had the all-American look, which would now be considered racist, I suppose. I had blonde hair and blue eyes, and that's what commercials booked. Now they go for what is called racially ambiguous, which is a child who you can't really tell what they are, which makes sense because they're trying to appeal to a broader audience, right? They're trying to appeal to the most people as possible. At the time, I had blonde hair and blue eyes, and also the other thing is that there wasn't as much competition. Like if there was, I never would have worked a day in my life. I was a terrible actress. I was not good at it at all. But I showed up, and I was, my mother made me be very professional, and I was somewhat outgoing and whatever. So I booked jobs. Today, now, I was the only kid at my school who did this when I was a kid. Now it's like every child in Hollywood has an agent for something. Even if they're not acting, it's like, oh, I do gymnastics, and I'm gonna like be in a movie doing gymnastics, or I'm a dancer, or I'm a skateboarder, or whatever. They're all like pushing these kids into having these careers where, like, now when you're a kid, the goal is to be a superstar, rather than like, okay, if that's what you want in life, that can come later. It's like, no, there is a definite push in Hollywood. I remember moving back to California when I was 21, and going to meet with my agent that I had when I was a child. And she was a children's agent, one of the best, actually. She was around forever. She was still in it, 1 million years later. And I went to go see her because I was like, she was the only person I knew. My mom told me, like, go see her and talk to her about getting back into it. And she was like, she basically told me, you're kind of old to be getting back into it. Even though there's only been this lapse, it's more like you're just starting out, because I can't take you. You're not a child anymore, so I can't represent you. You're going to have to start off with a new agency. So you don't have anything as an adult, and you're really kind of long in the tooth for this. They want to get you when you are a child, and keep you that entire time. So it's really sad, but the pushback that Corey Feldman was getting from Corey Haim's mother, and the fact that she was putting her child in the hands of these grown men, and you just don't do that. Letting him go to parties at their house, letting him sleep over at a grown man's house. That's where these things happened. I mean, apart from the attack of Charlie Sheen that happened on set in broad daylight, it would make sense that these are the types of situations that these things would happen. You know, they get the child comfortable first. That was another thing that Corey went into, was the kind of conditioning of these kids, where they just like, oh, I'm your pal. Like, you want to go to Disneyland? Let's go to Disneyland. I'm going to drive you around. Like, I'm going to be your best friend. And then you start getting them more comfortable. And then you start getting them into activities where it's like swimming, or they've got less clothes on. And then you start taking them to like, oh, let's go get massages and like sit in a steam room. And then you get them used to being naked in a room with you. And it's just this slow drip of conditioning a kid. I will say there was kind of this big piece missing from the film, which was Michael Jackson. Though they do allude to him, they kind of cut to a part where, remember, well, I mean, he still kind of is, but I remember when Corey Feldman started hanging out with Michael Jackson, he became like his little clone. He was dressing like him, dancing like him, acting like him. It looked like a little mini Michael Jackson, like you would do a double take when you saw him. You're like, is that Michael Jackson? No, it's Corey Feldman. So they kind of allude, when he's talking about being conditioned as a kid, they kind of allude to it by showing him dressed and dancing like Michael Jackson, but they don't come out and say it. He's like, I was also being groomed by somebody else. But they don't really say it, which is frustrating, because if there is something there, if you're going to be naming names, by golly, that information is already, people already have that in their minds. You're not telling anybody anything new. He's dead. It's not like you have to fear him or whatever. So I don't really like how they handled that piece. I don't like how they alluded to it. They didn't say it. I would like to know one way or another. I think, you know, this movie is, I don't know what they're going to do with the movie as far as distributing it now. He was saying something to the effect of, you know, we got so much interest in this movie that possibly a distributor will pick it up and will be able to like mass distribute this. I don't know if that's gonna happen. Isn't Corey friends with Michael Jackson's daughter? I don't know, maybe. She is around Hollywood. How old was Sheen when he made that movie? I don't know, you guys can look it up, we can look it up. Oh, let's see, Lucas movie. Click, clack, click, clack. So that movie was made in 1986. Charlie Sheen was born in 1965. Michael, hold on, I gotta get to you're shining light onto some dark, very dark places. Your efforts are invaluable and immensely appreciated. Take breaks, but don't leave us. We'd miss you too much. Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. We're gonna get into all of that. So he was 21 when that movie was made. And let's see how old, what's his name? Corey Haim was born, why am I not seeing his birthday? 1971, so what I say 86, so he was 14, 15? Sheen was 19, he was 13. I don't know, my math sucks, don't take my word for it. But he was 13. So, you know, it's really sad that, you know, he ended up dying of pneumonia. I think everybody was saying that he died of a drug overdose, or, you know, that was what the rumors were, at least then. When something like that happens to you as a child, it destroys every part of you. They do go into that in the movie, which I'm grateful for. I believe they have a psychologist that's there talking about what happens to the mind. And a lot of us talk about mind control and things like that. Mind control is not necessarily hypnosis or, you know, flashing things on a screen with, you know, those things holding their eyelids open. Mind control is anything that fragments the brain, that you know, puts somebody into a very susceptible state. and children are susceptible as is, and then you traumatize them, you do something like that to them, it will change their character, it will change them as a person. There is no wonder why so many, it's almost, it is the rule rather than the exception that child actors end up doing crazy things or turning out very poorly or getting into drugs, getting into alcohol, dying young, all of that. There are very few people that I can't even really think of anybody. The only person I can really think of that like seemed like they excelled after being famous as a child was Blossom. Like she went on to college and, you know, she was obviously very bright. She went off to like an Ivy League and did something after the fact, but I can't really think of anybody else. Dave, thank you. Hold on one second. So let's not get tired of doing what's good. At the right time, we will reap a harvest of blessing if we don't give up. Thank you so much. So I don't know if that's really everything about the movie. If you guys, unless you guys have questions, anything that I'm forgetting. I don't know if anybody in here also watched it. Uh-oh. What's that? Oh, thank you. Okay, out, dude.
Read this.
I know, baby. I know. I'm not reading the comments. Why? What am I missing? Amanda Bynes said her dad is a murderer. Yeah, there's actually a kid, I can't remember his name. There's actually a kid a young kid that's in Hollywood currently who's exposing also his kind of handler in Hollywood, and I think that man is in jail, I think. But, and then you've got a lot of, Bella Thorne came out and was talking about how she was raped her entire career in Disney, and a few other people. So they are, you know, hopefully this courage breeds courage, and you do have some of these kids that are coming out and bravely speaking about what has happened to them. And oh, one other thing that I didn't know. So remember we talked about the statute of limitations being lifted in New York State, and that's why you are seeing, number one, it's why we were able to see the Epstein, them go after Epstein again, but also why we're seeing them, you know, go after the church, and all these other indictments are coming from New York of past crimes against children, because they raised the statute of limitations for a year, so you could go back and go after somebody no matter when it happened to you. Thank you, Juan. Thank you so much. So I believe Corey Haim actually took part in that. There was a group of, I can't remember what the group is called, but they were trying for 15 years to get that to happen. And he helped mainly by getting it exposed, by coming and getting press there to go and talk about it. And so he's trying to do the same thing in Hollywood, or had been trying to do the same thing in Hollywood, and I believe they just got it done. What is that? So sorry.
Hey, look at this dino bug.
No. Come on, go back out. Finish your dinner, please. Thank you. Shut the door. Go to sleep. The 911 call. They do play the 911 call in the beginning of the movie of Corey Haim's mother when she found his body, and that's kind of awful. Macaulay Culkin. Yeah, Macaulay Culkin gave that interview, I believe, in France, where he laid it all on the line, and you can't find that interview really anywhere anymore, as far as I can see. Love your memes and comments on Twitter. Thank you so much. Oh yeah, Harvey Weinstein also. They have seen Harvey go down, so they know they're no longer protected. They will go down. I hope so. I hope people have the courage to come forward and tell their stories. The statute of limitations thing is weird. It's like you have to be under 45, and it has to be, you know, within the last blah, blah, blah years. Kim, there was a Daily Mail article in November of 2017 of CS, who's CS? Who's CS? Charlie Sheen, denying allegations of raping Haim on Lucas. Haim told Dominic Brassia. Yeah, in this movie, it seems like he had told a lot of people that. Yeah, of course. Of course, it's going to be denied. I mean, it's unfortunate that it never got to go through a trial. It's very unfortunate that Corey died and he never got to see justice be served or even have an investigation or anything. Even just the nature of the attack shows the brazenness, shows the just absolute lack of, like, this guy knew he was going to get away with it. You know, he was Hollywood royalty. His parents were famous. He was just, you know, he was in. He was as in as they come. And I got to refresh my page because my chat went away. And it's just sick. Exactly. But, you know, another thing he said in the film is that everybody was like thirsty for, you know, high level executives and things like that. Well, not that it's not high level executives as well or whatever, or not that they're not covering it up, but it's really the people with the access to the children. It's the managers, it's the agents, it's the people that they're, you know, the teachers on set, the whatever. These are the kinds of people that get jobs to get access to kids sometimes. So it would make sense that it probably permeates every level of it, I'm gonna guess. But just the people with access are the ones with access. So don't give your children access, or don't give an adult, I don't care if you can't look at somebody and know that they're a pedophile. You can't even have a conversation with people and know that they're a pedophile. There are people that are mothers and wives and best friends of people and don't know that they're a pedophile. They find out and they're like, you know, they are completely blown away. So, you know, not that you need to be, I don't mean this in the way that it's going to sound, but when it comes to your child, treat everybody like they're a pedophile. Don't call them that, whatever, but just out of safety, you know, because even if they're not, imagine if your kid says something that's kind of off color that makes you question them. So then now you're in a situation with somebody where you have to question them and maybe they are innocent. So I feel like it's just not, unless you absolutely need to, you know, as far as like childcare and things like that. But like, if you're just trying to make your child famous and being like, run along with these adults and go party with them and sleep at their house, and I'll be in this other, you know, state or country while you're living with them so that you can make your career and be famous. Don't do that. Yes. So again, I think that's all I have about the movie, unless you guys have any other questions. And if you don't, Tiffany Fitzpatrick got her YouTube channel shut down after posting about underage singers being molested by managers and actors. Tiffany Fitzpatrick does, I mean, she is ballsy. She does great work. She comes out and says it. She's not afraid. She does a lot of digging. Her investigations, from what I can tell, seem really good. So she would be somebody that they would not want to keep around. The parents are responsible. They should have been around more, trained their kids more, talked and listened more, seen that something was going on. Trauma is evident. There's no way they didn't know. I agree. I don't think that, I do believe that she was turning a blind eye on some level. Maybe she didn't know he was getting raped, but I feel like as a mother, you would know that something like that happened to your child. But there are also, you know, responsibilities of the studios and the people that make these movies. You know, you're supposed to have a teacher when you're on set. You're supposed to have a guardian, but that guardian doesn't necessarily need to be a parent. And, you know, things get real loosey-goosey, especially once a child becomes famous. certain things just go, it's like anything else. Certain things just go out the window. It's like whatever, you know, we're just gonna build the rules around whatever you say because we want you for this film. And yeah, there is a reason why in most places it's illegal for children to work. No amount of fame or fortune is worth the safety of our children. Son of a green card. Thank you so much. Yes, exactly. Exactly. You could potentially ruin your child's life. You know, that's got to be a struggle for kids, parents of kids that are really gifted. I see that too, where, you know, kids get like pushed around, like pushed into the spotlight because of some of like one of their gifts or whatever. But you just protect them. There's so much time. There's so much time for your child to be somebody. Let them be a kid. Let them be a kid for the few short years that they get to be a kid, and then they can go be whatever they want. When I did it when I was young, you know, because I don't want to sit here and sound hypocritical because I did it, but obviously it was very different. I was nowhere near close to famous. My mother was on top of me at all times. I was never out of her sight. She was always my guardian there. Didn't matter if she knew somebody or if she, you know, these were people we trusted, we were hanging out, palling around. She didn't leave me. And it just, you know, when I did it, I wanted to be there. It was like some of my friends were doing Girl Scouts. Some of them were doing, you know, ballet, and I was doing the acting thing. And there were some beneficial things to it. It taught me to be professional. It taught me to be punctual. I mean, I was at the time. It's kind of gone out the window. But but one of the most important things that it taught me was to take rejection and not let it get to me. So that was really important. So done the right way. It's just unfortunately, what is worth sticking your child, now that we know, into a room of vipers for a potential, you know, learning opportunity. So hindsight, I guarantee you my parents would not have put us into acting, now knowing what they know. But my brother's friend did it, and so my brother wanted to do it, so he got into it, and then my sister was like, hey, I want to do it. And then when my sister went in to audition or to talk to the agent, I was 2 years old, and I kept like opening exactly what happens here, what is going on while I'm doing this is exactly what I was doing. Like, you want to see my new shoes? Hey, hey, look at me or whatever. And so I was just like, I want to do it. So I did it. And then when I was like, I don't want to do it, my mom's like, okay, call your agent. Tell her you don't want to do it anymore. Steven Spielberg needs to be exposed. Sick SOB. It's a much more organized system than people realize. It's in their contracts. It's horrible. People will agree to this. Is there any new dirt on Disney? There wasn't really anything mentioned about Disney. Studios should all be liable. Should be rules when working with minors. Of course. And that was another thing. I mean, of course, there are rules, some very light rules, but they don't really keep them in play. There are known pedophiles that actually, there was a guy working on one of Charlie Sheen's shows that was a convicted pedophile who got the job through Charlie Sheen. And you know, they like kind of bent the rules for him, and they said, well, he just can't be on set when there's a kid on set, and when he's off set, he has to be in Charlie Sheen's dressing room. Like, come on. You can't find one of the 7 billion other people that live in LA that could probably do this guy's job. I don't even know what it was. I think it was like speech something. So they would kind of bend the rules, but also in this movie, Corey goes to SAG, which is the Screen Actors Guild, and he talks to the president of SAG, which I believe is Andrea Zuckerman. I forgot what her real name is, but you guys remember 90210, Beverly Hills 90210, Andrea? I actually took acting classes with her, but I guess she's now the president of SAG, and he went to speak with her and try to get them to make a harder line for pedophiles working with children, or trying to get people who have been accused of these things get their SAG card removed. Tell the guild, like, these people should not be working because we can't, you know, if they're going to be around children and things like that. And he basically got told, like, like, good luck, but you're going to have to come back with loads of proof. There's going to have to be a conviction. They definitely don't, they definitely make it easier for the pedophiles than they do for the people that are trying to fight them. That's a real problem. God, I have such a headache. So, after that fun subject, Andrea was 35 in high school. I know, right? Nobody was buying that. I mean, they were all like 20 something when they filmed that show. But she was like middle-aged. Poor Andrea. Great show. So yeah, I was having a pity party yesterday, and then I posted something because okay, so then I get online, I see that Red Pill was just getting out of the hospital. He's fine now. And I was just like, I follow a lot of people. A lot of people message me, and I was just seeing a lot of like, my wife has cancer out of nowhere. My dad died out of nowhere. Our dog died. This happened, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, I know that happens in life. And then I was seeing like a lot of people just attacking other people. The George Papadopoulos's wife going nuts. I didn't even catch the end of that. I saw just like one tweet of hers where she was just saying some terrible things, and it just like I was just not in a state and I just couldn't look at it anymore. It just made me too sad. But it just was like another example of just people just seem like they're being nuts. And I actually got the rug pulled out from under me like yesterday. Just, it's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Like somebody that I thought was my very good friend, just all of a sudden just like, it's weird. So I'm seeing a lot of strange human behavior. I'm seeing a lot of tragic things happen to people. I know that maybe we're just paying attention to it more, but it just seems like everything right now is in chaos. And not just right now, like for the last year, it's a lot of good people are having very bad things happen to them. Thanks for all you're doing, Kate. Keep up the good work. Been watching from the beginning. God bless you and your family. Stay safe. Move out of California. Thank you, Joshua. I am out of California. Thank you. Thank you so much. And so I posted a tweet, one of them tweeters. And I was like, is it just me, or has the world gone mad? Like, loved ones acting crazy, losses, illnesses, blah, blah, blah. And the response to it, I was literally sitting here just sobbing, reading the responses. Because, well, number one, people are so good and people are so beautiful, and that really touches me. It's not just like you'll get him next time, girl. It's like people take their time to connect with you and give you a piece of advice. Connect with you on some level of, I understand what you're going through, some level of empathy. And for a lot of people that is religion or the Bible. And you guys know that I'm not a religious person. I've never read the Bible in my life. But it touches me when people say that they're praying for me, because I do believe that not only that it's doing something, it's not only the effectiveness, it's to that person, that is the highest form of trying to do something for somebody, for respecting them, and trying to change things for them, or trying to find peace for them. And that is incredibly moving. I pray too. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I do it right, but it feels right. And I do think that there's something to it. There have been scientific studies on, vibrations and intentions and words and things like that, and how it changes the molecules of water. So why on earth do we think, do we look down our nose at people who pray or talk to God or send, love to somebody when they're going through a hard time, or send them a virtual hug? Like, those things can be a massive help. And it was for me yesterday watching all of this. United, not divided, exactly. And so a lot of people were just giving me a lot of just encouragement, strength, which was so beautiful. And a lot of people were giving their talking about their hardships, which was also breaking my heart, and hearing about all of these things that other people are going through. And of course it puts my thing in perspective, because my thing is nothing. Like my life is good. I've got like some major upheaval in my life. I've got some wonky donkey things going on. Things are kind of precarious in a few areas, but pretty much good. You know, things can easily kind of take the wind out of my sails when it comes to this, because I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to this channel. You know, we get attacked for believing in Q, we get attacked for supporting the president, we're always getting attacked. I'm usually pretty good online, like that stuff doesn't get to me. You know, if somebody is like extra cruel, I usually just send them the worst meme I can. Like, the crueler the response, the dorkier the meme. You're getting a phone call. I must have, hold on, let me put on my do not disturb. Oops, that didn't work either. That didn't work either. All right, well, hopefully they don't call back. To where were we? I do block people from time. If I go to somebody's page and it's like obvious that all they're there to do is demean other people or make fun of other people or whatever, I'll block them. I'll block them, but I don't like to block everybody. I did block maybe like, I don't know, 7 or 8 people yesterday who collectively had like 10 followers between them all. So those were pretty obvious, you know, like, I don't think they're bots. I think they're actual people, but I think they're there just with the specific, whether they're being paid to do it or whether this is just the hobby for them, whether this is just their outlet to get out all their hatred and angst and anger. They're not worth our time. So, but I also have had conversations that started off with people that are very combative, where I've been able to at least leave the conversation with mutual warm feelings about each other. So I don't like to block every person that just disagrees with me or even says something kind of nasty. I get nastiness, whatever. I'm actually pretty gifted at nastiness. I've had to relinquish my gift to the gods and be like, no, it's a shame, but you can't change the world by being snarky. You can't help your fellow man by being a bitch. You have to let go, and in some way it's like a defense mechanism. Just got my phone back up and running. Sorry I'm late. How dare you, Mythical? Where have you been? Anyway, in a nutshell, thank you guys for your support of me. If I ever decide not to do this channel anymore, it might just be temporary, or it might be because if it's not, it'll be because I don't feel like I'm needed anymore for whatever it is that I'm doing here. Which I feel like, yes, I still like to bring you the news. Just because I didn't do that tonight, that's a different thing. I will still be doing that as I do my channel. I will still be showing you guys the headlines and the weird things that I come across, so we can talk about them. But mostly I feel like what I'm drawn to is just connecting with you guys, seeing what you have to say, and supporting, like being a hub where you guys can come and support each other too. And I can help support you. Like, we just need to all do that. We are under attack big time. Evil is backed into a corner. Last gasps. We are being free to change we might not have even known we had on. Let me know when you are ready for a good joke. Okay. Coming up. You are absolutely needed, Kate. Thank you so much. I mean, again, there are lots of people that are new, starting off with new channels, and you know, I got a lot of help early on, so that's how a lot of you found me. And it's important to help those other people too, because this isn't about the Kate Show. This is about a community and pockets of communities, you know, and if you can find people that are even local to your area, even better, because that's what it's going to be when we, you know, we are going to have to start making changes at a small level. That is your boy Tesla behind me. Oh, I also watched a few movies that I wanted to talk about. One of them was Thrive. Did we already talk about this? My life is just Groundhog's Day. Thank you, Double DZ. So I watched Thrive. I had heard about it forever, you know? Yeah, I had a completely, you know, it's weird how you have a completely different expectation of a movie just because you saw like a poster for it and like heard a couple sentences. I thought it was about the human body, and it was like, you know, almost like a more homeopathic, like nature medicine kind of documentary. That is not so. So I watched it the other day, and I'd say it was pretty dang good. I've heard some criticisms of it that I would definitely agree with. I don't think it's like the end all be all. It was very, you know, just the fact that that movie came out as long ago as it did. I think for the people, I think for a lot of us who are, you know, who follow Q, who are paying attention to what's going on now, it's nothing new, really. It's kind of just a really well put together piece of what we already know, but that's good to have. That's a good resource for people that are not awake. And I don't know, all in all, I thought it was pretty good. I also watched JFK. I had never seen that movie before, which is weird because my two favorite genres of movies are court dramas and like literally 90s movies. I feel like 90s were like the heyday for movie making. The best movies came out of the 90s. So it was a 90s court drama, and of course has to do with the assassination of JFK, and it was excellent. The monologue he does at the end when he's in court and he talks about it blew my mind. I was like gripping the pillow next to me, and I was just like, it was so intense and really good. So if you haven't seen that movie, this brand new movie from 1991, I recommend it. Paul from Montana, hi, this is for you. Thanks for speaking out. Thank you so much. You the best. What else did I watch? Oh, unfortunately, I watched Platoon. It came on after, I guess maybe because it was an Oliver Stone movie, and I had never seen Platoon, so I'm like, I'm gonna watch it. It was before I watched the documentary, but I also kind of knew Charlie Sheen was gonna be in the documentary, so I had mixed feelings, but I was kind of like, if I'm gonna watch this movie ever, I'm gonna have to do it now because I probably won't be able to stomach looking at him. Not that I can really stomach looking at him before that. Anyway, that was a very, very sad, very eye-opening movie. I'm like an emotional cutter. Like, I'm feeling bad, so I watch like grim movies. Very sad movie. Thank you so much. You're very sweet. You should do an all Tesla episode since you're super into him. Yeah, that'd be cool. What was up with Valerie Jarrett looking like Austin Powers? I don't know. Is everything working for you guys? Because everything's frozen on my end. Platoon was a great movie. That movie was brutal. That's the only word I can think of. That's the most Costner speaks in any movie. Yeah, that's very true. He does not speak much. Austin Steinbart. Yes, I have seen him. I've watched some of his videos. I don't really know what to say. Anything I would say would be just pure speculation. So I know a lot of you guys have been asking me about that, and I've kind of been avoiding the subject just because I have. So we'll give it time. Either way, whatever will be, will be. Que sera, sera. Right, guys? Definitely a guy movie. What is that, Platoon? Primaries update. Trump in first, then Biden, then Bernie trailing by a lot. That's surprising. I don't like war movies either, Cindy. I'm with you. You know, some things are just too real to watch. 80s movies were the best ever. I mean, 80s movies were great. I grew up with 80s movies, but I don't know. They were just a little too, I don't know, flamboyant. I feel like the 90s produced some really great, like the fun movies. Yes, there were so many fun movies that came out of the 80s. If you're looking for a fun movie, the first thing you think of is 80s movies. But if you're thinking of like really great movies, like cinema, I think of 90s movies. And then everything turned to crap. Seriously, around the year 2000. Everything was then just about, like, everything had a motive to, which was like some social justice warrior thing. And they all tried to get like too brainy, and they like out clevered themselves by that's how I feel. I would like, there were so many movies that I saw in the early 2000s and since that I walk out there like, what? That wasn't entertaining. Like, they're just trying to prove that they're smarter than I am. They don't have to work hard at doing that. I know they are. I don't need to spend money to go watch a movie to find that out. I like to be entertained, and I feel like the 90s had the best like entertainment. What are your favorite 90s movies? Of course, now I can't even honestly, now JFK is one of my favorite 90s movies. I'll think of it. I'll think of some. Movies today suck. Indeed. Kate, you seem to be especially emotional. I have been on extremes lately, crying in the middle of the night, elation at times. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, they, you know, everyone's like, oh, the moon, super moon. I swear to God, it's a super moon every month. I'm like, is this some kind of Mandela effect? Yeah, I know it's a super moon. It was a super moon last month and the month before that. The month before that. I swear to God, it's every month. But everyone's like, oh no, this is the one. This is the one that won't come around for 800 years. 800 years? You mean January? That kind of 800 years? The best thing about 90s movies was the disclosure, like Stargate and SG-1. I haven't seen Stargate. Everybody keeps telling me, but I don't know where to watch it. And I also get very confused because I've never seen it before. I know they made like a million TV shows and like a million like Stargate blah, blah, blah after that. So I need to find like the original Stargate so that I can start with the real one. The one's really great, really super. Have you seen The American Media and the Second JFK Assassination by John Barber? I have not. Mercury has been in retrograde too, LOL. Dang Mercury and dang Moon. Just watch the movie with Kurt Russell. I'll have to narrow it down. Okay, the movie Stargate, just plain old Stargate. I shall search for it. Kurt Russell and James Spader. I can't think of that. I can't. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what there's this thing in me where it's like people will recommend things so many times that I'm like, nah, I probably won't like that. And then every time I usually do like it. So I don't know why it takes me so long. V for Vendetta I have seen. It was very good. Overboard is a great movie. I don't care who you are. It was a great movie. Can you imagine them trying to make that movie today? Oh my gosh. People would lose their bloomin' onion minds. Unless, oh wait, didn't they make it again, but it was the roles were reversed and it was the man that she was doing it to? Why does that sound familiar to me? April, thank you so much. Overboard was really funny. Tubi, is that what it is? I've never heard of that before. They made a sequel to Overboard. Clueless, I'm not really a Clueless kind of person. I never really got into those like teeny bopper movies, but like my roommates were super into them when we were in college. I love the old Clint Eastwood movies. I don't think I've ever seen a Clint Eastwood movie. 90s Jim Carrey films. Yeah, okay, well, I mean, to talk about goofy movies, I am embarrassed to say that, like, Austin Powers, hysterical. I laughed so hard in that movie. What was I thinking about the other day? One of the movies I laughed the hardest in. Well, Office Space. Office Space was one of the funniest movies ever made. The Adam Sandler movies, hysterical. For the time, I mean, come on. Now they're kind of like goofy or whatever, but part of that is due to the fact that every guy I went to high school with just repeated every line of every Adam Sandler movie all day long. Dumb and Dumber, come on, it's so good, right? So funny. Office Space is so, I will tell you though, Office Space gave me kind of a headache because everybody then believed that you, when you got hypnotized, that you were just gonna like get locked in that if you didn't get brought out properly. And so people would like come to me when I was a hypnotherapist and be like, this isn't gonna be like Office Space where I like walk around in a Hawaiian shirt for the rest of the month or whatever. It doesn't work like that, guys. He stole my stapler, he'll burn down the building. Please say a prayer for us, Kate. Of course. Curtis? Oh, well, you mean like, oh, that's really put me on the spot. I don't want to, I will say a prayer, I promise you, I will say a prayer for you tonight, for all of you. I do anyway, but I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it here. I just feel too kind of goofy. I'm new. I'm new to this. What can I say? Knives Out, I did see. That was like one of the only current movies I've seen recently. It was pretty good. It was very entertaining, I will say. Office Space is required watching. Big Lebowski, Goodfellas, Pulp Fiction, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, Matrix, Cesarios movies, yeah, man. And then some of these movies are like, now that we know stuff, it's like a little, they're like darker than I care to, you know. Now I'm like, oh, Hocus Pocus? Like, that was a documentary. I don't want to watch that. It kept coming, when it was like finding grenades to jump on during Halloween time. I'd be like, I'd turn on the TV on and it would be Hocus Pocus. I'm like scrambling to find the remote that turns the channel, because you know I've got 16 remotes. They all do their own function for one TV. And during the Halloween time, it was on like every 15 minutes. They Live was a documentary. Yeah, exactly. That was another one that I slept on for a really long time. Everybody kept telling me to watch They Live, and I didn't. Fight Club was a great movie. Enemy of the State. Is that Enemy of the State? Is that Denzel Washington? Anything Denzel Washington I love. He's one of my favorites of all time. I will be very, very cross if we find something bad out about him. Bill and Ted. Hey, Alfredo. There was an alien movie where the dude had a spike in his hand that was shoved in the back of neck, and adrenaline was sucked up and used as food. Ooh. Well, they have adrenochrome in Fear and Loathing, right? Fifth Element is one of my favorite movies of all time. Boondock Saints, definitely top 5 movies of all time. Big Trouble in Little China. Enemy of the State was Will Smith. Anthony! What's the one that I'm thinking? Well, first of all, the one where I know that wasn't 90s, I think that was later. The one where he's the bodyguard and protects that little girl was excellent. Now I can't think of any of the other movies. Butterfly Effect? Was that the one with Ashton Kutcher? I couldn't take that movie seriously. I think I wanted to like it so much, but when he woke up without an arm, spoiler alert, I was like, I can't with this movie. I can't watch this movie anymore. It was a great premise. I'm actually kind of bummed because I feel like The Simpsons covered the butterfly effect better than that movie did. I like learned more from the Simpsons episode on the butterfly effect. Manchurian Candidate, yes, very good. Caddyshack, The Equalizer, Galaxy Quest I have not seen. Mothman Prophecy. The Golden Child I haven't seen, I don't think. I believe I tried to watch that like a couple years ago. I don't know what happened. I know I started it and then it wasn't that I didn't like it. Thank you, thank you. Y'all are very sweet. Oh, that was another thing I wanted to bring up. So Q had a drop that said something about silent running. And being a child of the 80s, I just immediately thought of the Mike and the Mechanics song. So I went to go watch the video, number one. As the song is playing, I'm remembering what the lyrics were. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredibly, like, it was blowing my mind. The lyrics were blowing my mind. But also the video was just crazy. It was like this dad who goes away, and then he like joins, it looks like a Space Force kind of thing, and the son gets this delivery, this like giant guy comes and brings, he's like, oh, I'm a friend of your dad's. And it's a cube where he can see his father and talk to his father. And oh my gosh, do you guys remember that show? What was Evie Ethel Garland, where she talked to her dad over the thing that he was like a spaceman, or like he went and worked in space, and the thing would open up and she could talk to her dad, and she would go like this to freeze time. Anywho, that video was crazy too. So look up that Silent Running, Mike and the Mechanics. Very least look up the lyrics and just read those. And I have no idea if that's what Q was alluding to. I'm sure it probably wasn't. But there could be multiple meanings, and definitely it was like, whoa. Yellow cube, exactly. It was a yellow cube, and he could see his dad off planet. Did you see iPot's 4-minute video about that? Amazing. No, I didn't. Somebody, I think, sent it to me, but I've been wallowing in self-pity and did not have the time. But I will watch that for sure. Hello, in Chandler. Oh, awesome. Nice to see you. Taken. Taken is a great ass-kicking movie. Out of This World, thank you. Must see Last Lovers Left Alive. It's a very unique and thought-provoking vampire movie. Thank you. Interesting. I'm not that into vampires. Although, what's that spoofy vampire movie? What They Do in the Dark? Does that sound right? Does anybody know what I'm talking about? The Things They Do in the Dark. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. It's like a mockumentary where this guy goes and like is documenting these 3 vampires or 4 vampires that live together. Has anybody seen that? Oh my gosh. It's so, like, one of the funniest lines I've ever heard of Lost Boys. Oh, all these movies are ruined for me, by the way. Man, Lost Boys was a good vampire movie. Chris, thank you so much. Big hug for Kate. We love you. Thank you. Shaun of the Dead is another one that has been recommended to me maybe a million times and I have not seen. I think because it's about zombies and I'm like, I have like an aversion to zombies. I just don't care. So I haven't watched it, but maybe I'll force myself. I'm waiting for somebody to, What We Do in the Shadows. That sounds right. Thank you. The part where he goes, they're interviewing the vampire and they're like, so what is it with virgins? Like, why do you guys, always go for virgins or whatever? He's like, how to explain this to you? He's like, so if you're about to enjoy a sandwich, you're about to eat a sandwich, wouldn't you enjoy it just that much more if nobody had effed it? I was just like, oh my God. I just ruined that movie. I just completely killed that movie. That was the least funny rendition, but it was a really good movie. And also a little bit dark. Shaun of the Dead is dark humor. See, dark humor is where they were like, oh, it's just dark humor. And they just started making it darker and darker and darker and darker. I think that's what happened. And I was like, this is not funny. There might have been like, parts in the movie where like somebody gets an axe in the head and it's like funny, but things just started getting darker and darker. I'm not a dark person. I don't jive. Did you hear about Prince Andrew refusing to cooperate in Epstein case? He hired former director Pinochet? Please don't. Sorry, I had to click something out. No, I have not. I feel like I should try to, it has vampires in it, but it's not a vampire movie the way you might be imagining. All right, I'm open to that. Hold on, let me, I'm just going to copy and paste so that I remember that later. Let me go through, I feel like I'm missing a lot of things because I know we didn't go over any of the headlines. But is there anything massive that I was missing that I wanted to talk about? Probably not. I mean, we'll do this again on Tuesday. Let me just look at something really quickly. While I have you here. I mean, the coronavirus stuff, it's interesting to see the people that are, the names that are coming out. The only names that we're getting are like high profile people that don't seem to be good guys. So that's interesting. Like I said, I'm not worried about it. A lot of people freaking out over toilet paper. Somebody asked me about that today. Like, why is everybody freaking out over toilet paper? So the explanation that I think happened is that there were toilet paper shortages or threats of toilet paper shortages in Australia because one of their main supplier was China. So I think there was kind of talk about there being a toilet paper shortage, so everybody lost their gall-darn mind. And then we had videos of that happening, circulating the world. And so other people, being the sheep that they are, also decided to freak out over toilet paper. And so people were showing, people were like buying it up everywhere. I have since in the last week, I've been to the grocery store twice. I've glanced down the toilet paper aisle and saw that there was toilet paper in it. So I don't think everybody's freaking out, but definitely some people are. Not even food or water, toilet paper, right? Like toilet paper, yeah, I get it, it's a staple, but there are other ways, people. There are other ways. You're not gonna die without toilet paper. I get it, it's important. But I always think it's so despicable. Like some of these that I saw where people have an entire cart full of toilet paper and there's like a woman there that's like fighting them for it and they won't even give her like one. Like, come on. How much toilet paper do you need? How often do you even buy toilet paper that you go through it that quickly or that you think that you need, 17 pallets of it? I do have a friend who is quarantined in his house because he traveled to Italy, but he doesn't have the illness. And, I think that's like a precautionary thing. But a few people were putting out on Twitter, a few of the people that I follow. I know IET was one of them. I can't think of who the other person was. But a lot of people saying like, hey, does anybody know anybody personally who has it? Because you would think that somebody would, and a lot of people were like, oh, well, this guy who posts on Twitter, like, no, do you know them personally? And I haven't seen anybody be able to be like, oh yeah, my cousin had it or whatever. But they are obviously, quarantining people and all of that. So I am not too worried. Hello, my little girlfriend. Toilet paper is the cure. The Cure. Good band. I got sick but got better. Yeah, and then there was another guy that posted a poll that was like, have you had a really nasty illness in the last couple weeks or like last month or so? But like obviously didn't get tested for it because they weren't testing people or whatever. And a lot of people were saying, it's flu season. A lot of us have been really sick. I was sicker than a dog, remember? And it did seem to take forever to go away. AOC represents Corona Queens. I blame her. I work for the hospital system in South Carolina, and we had a confirmed test in Spartanburg for the coronavirus. Interesting. Do you know anything about the person, like their age or anything, like ballpark age? Like, were they young or old? And are they okay? I don't know how that works, if you're able to say that as long as you don't say their name. Kate, do you watch South Park? Not really, but it's very funny. My whole family's been sick, but I got my mom red pilled and me and her baby the rest of the family. That's awesome. Yeah, take advantage of those sick days by watching documentaries and researching and annoying all of your family members with everything that you find. Did you see From the Hip, Judd Nelson, a great law movie? No, I didn't. All right, guys. Well, I am going to scoot, but I will be back. I'll be back on Tuesday next at, oh, you know what? I think I want to move this to 6 o'clock now Pacific, because with the time change, it was always 6 o'clock Pacific for me. So now it's actually an hour earlier with the time change for me. And, oh, we don't play that. I'd rather do it at 6 o'clock. So if that works for you guys, we'll try that next week again. I mean, that was kind of what I did tonight. So 6 o'clock next Tuesday, we'll be back. Okay. And I'll do like headlines and stuff for that one. Chris, thank you. Oh, wait, we need Chris's joke. Chris, we'll wait for your joke. And you don't have to give money. I'll make sure I see it. I'll keep looking. But thank you very much. Man, this better be good. The pressure's on, Chris. If it sucks, I'm gonna block you. Bert, thank you. Are you watching from Mars? You might be the furthest away. That would be pretty cool. Drum roll. Thanks, you guys. Weird Al said he won't do my Corona, or he would, but it would go viral. Weird Al's pretty funny, actually. You know what was actually kind of funny? Was the new Pee-wee movie. The part with the balloon. That was killer. Did Chris leave? Jeff, thank you so much. What would you tell Trump I would have as a huge paper with friends' names and say? Wait, what would you tell Trump I would have as huge paper with friends' names and say? What? Alan, that was bad. I think it stops you from sending links. I don't know. I don't think I can do anything about that. We all want to say thank you, and on and on and on and on and on and on. That's very cute. I like it. That was worth sticking around for. That's very cute. All right, you guys. On that note, bless your little hearts. All right, I'll see you guys next week.